Hi, everybody. I was just taking little Miss Maddie to the groomer, and as I was driving along, I was listening to news, NPR, and some other outlets, and I was struck by just how huge our country is, isn't it? Think about it. We are so large that even just one region is could encompass several countries in Europe, for instance. It's no wonder we have different opinions and trying to figure out how to hold common values about some things. The other thing that I was struck by today was the weather, because here in Rochester, well, it's not, a warm day. It's probably in maybe the low 60s. I haven't looked, but I would guess it's like low 60s, and um, it's a blue sky, not a deep blue, not an azure blue sky, but sort of a robin's egg light blue sky. I don't see any clouds. It's probably just, uh, it's sunny. The bird just flew by. Life goes on. There's a slight breeze. I can see some things flowing in my garden. A very pleasant autumn day. And then I listened to the reports from the Gulf Coast where the hurricane is making shore, and the water is there was a 6'3" man who was talking, and he said the water is already, where he was standing, was up to his waist, where 2 hours ago it had been around his ankles. So it's rising quickly, and it's terrible, and the winds. And I think what we're going to see down there is that so much rain happened ahead of time. An unprecedented amount of rain came before the winds, so that it really loosened the ground. And I have a feeling, sadly, I hope I'm wrong, but that the winds will come and topple over trees and light poles and houses, perhaps. I don't know. It's just terrible. So we have a section of the country dealing with that. Another section, of course, dealing with the climate fires on the West Coast. How horrendous are they? I was listening last night, and U.S. Senator Markley from Oregon traveled 600 miles around his state, 10 hours, never got out from under the smoke, and 2 complete towns were leveled. He showed some pictures, and it looks like a bomb went off. They're leveled. And people are fleeing. So we have refugees in our own country now. Refugees. People who have no home, who've had to move for their own safety, to save their own lives. And oh yes, in the midst of that we have the pandemic. And currently, 200,000 people dead. Promises to get worse. I believe the scientists when they tell us that it will merge in some way with the regular flu virus. So if you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, get it. I got mine on Friday. It takes a few weeks to really take effect and have full efficacy. So don't mess around with this. Go get a flu shot. Get it at your pharmacy if you can. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot to be upset about, and I haven't even touched upon politics. I'm not going there today. But that's upsetting for all of us from one side or the other. So I'm thinking about Jesus. Based on our questions from yesterday. And if you don't know what that was, go back and watch the prayerful pause from them. But I'm thinking about Jesus, and I'm thinking about how he would get away to go off by himself and get centered and go talk to God. And we can't, at least not in that physical sense. Most of us cannot. It's not safe. We may be in that hurricane or in the fire area, or we may be here in the Northeast or the Midwest where other things are happening, but because of COVID, we can't go out and just mingle. But we can get away, and we can get away in prayer. Every time that we step out of this life and move into our spirit life, whether it's with words or thoughts or just a clean slate and trying to sit, maybe listen to some music that transports us somewhere, that's getting away, and that rejuvenates us, and that calms us, and that allows us to connect with something greater than ourselves, which frankly I think is the only way we're all going to get through this. I think the longer these things continue, and we're talking now about another year before any sort of normalcy returns to life, according to the medical experts, because of the COVID pandemic. What would I know? I mean, I know colds and flu, right? We grew up with that. I don't think very many, if any of us, have ever lived through a pandemic before. That just kicks it up into a whole different vocabulary, doesn't it? And a whole different understanding of time. If we're talking another year of doing this kind of lifestyle, we need to have places we can get away to. And if you've been like me and you've been lucky, you've had a patio or a terrace or a backyard or someplace. But if you're like in the Northeast, that's going to end when we have snow, unless you happen to be a real snow buddy. I met a woman the other day who was saying to a friend that she and her girlfriends have all been buying leggings because they don't want to stop meeting, and they know it's going to be cold, but they still want to be able to, gather and do their social distance thing in a park and drink their coffee or tea or whatever they're drinking. Could be a big market for snow clothing this year, I guess. Kidding aside, though, we have to find ways that we can get away even when we can't get away. So that's your assignment for today. Just like we used to plan for how do we shelter in place, hopefully we still plan for that. When I was a kid, although my family never had one, there were, air raid shelters, and we would plan. We'd plan what to do in case of emergency. If you grew up in the Midwest, you were always planning where to go at the moment's notice if tornado alarms went off. We need to be planning how we're going to get through the next 6 months with a space to get away. Now, for me, and when I was growing up, my dad wanted to make sure that I had some music that I could put on and put the earphones on, and it would transport me out of where I was. And so I've always done that. Different pieces at different times in my life. I encourage you to do that and start putting the plan together now. Just like we're telling everybody have your voting plan, so that your first plan might be early voting, and if that doesn't work, your next plan B is the mail-in ballot, and the last possibility might be you have to go to the polling place on election day. Whatever your voting plan is, I want you to have the same kind of plan in place for how and where to get away, and I put that in air quotes, to get away into a different space. Maybe it's sitting in a different chair in your home and reading and meditating, but doing something that's different that allows you to really get grounded in a major way. And that's your assignment for today, to think of that. Get it started for the next 6 months. Okay? Thanks for listening to our prayerful pause. It has been a time to think of something greater than ourselves, and may that continue with you throughout the day. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. If you'd like to learn more about us, check out our end slide on this video, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here next time, okay? God bless. Take care. Do your planning so you can take care easier in the future. Alrighty. Bye for now.